Can you move abroad as an introvert and build a community? Or do you need to become somebody you're not in order to do that? That's what I'm going to share with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Patricia Brooks, and if you're new here, welcome. If you are not, welcome back. I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in their new country. I help them to move through fear and self-doubt so that they can actually make that leap happen, but also help them to build the kind of mindset that is required to really succeed in thriving abroad. And on my channel, I talk about moving abroad, my life in France, and how to dig down deep so that you can live the kind of life you know you were meant to. And today, I'm going to be talking about building community. Now, last night, I went to the festival called the Sardana Festival. And the Sardana is a Catalan dance where people dance in circles. And I'm going to share some footage of that as I talk about the experience of building community in a foreign country. And I went out to this festival really with the intention of getting some footage for a video that I'm shooting for another channel. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get some footage. I'll go to the competition that they started up again this year in the arena. And then I'll leave early and I'll have what I need. So that's what I set out to do. I went and I saw the parade that started in the center of town. And then about an hour later, the competition started at the arena. And I went over there to film a little bit of that. And so I go in and I sit down on the bleacher. And then a second later, I hear my name, Patricia. And I'm like, who knows me here? And I turn around and it turns out to be my friends Jean-Baptiste and Léonette. And I get up and I go and I sit next to them. And so I film the first part of the competition and we're talking and we're having a good time. And about maybe an hour goes by and I'm kind of a little bit fidgety because the bleachers are concrete. They're not comfortable at all. And Jean-Baptiste has a seat cushion and he offers me his. I'm like, oh no, don't worry about that. I'm not going to be staying much longer. And he says, oh, well, that's a shame because the finale is something you really want to see. And I said, well, okay, I'll see what I can do, right? I wasn't giving any promises. I asked, well, how long, when is the end going to be? Because I go to bed kind of early. And they said, oh, probably around 11 or so. And I'm like, okay, we'll see what I can do. And so I sat there and I watched the competition and I chatted with my friends and I wound up staying until the end. And I filmed the finale, or most of it, because I ran out of space on my phone. And then we left together. And it was a good experience. It was a fun evening. Not what I had signed up for, because, in my estimation, I'd be out an hour and a half tops, and I'd have what I needed. But I had a good evening. But what happened this morning, I woke up and I knew I had to clean my phone because if I was going to record this video, I would need some more space. And so I got to it. And as I was moving the videos from my phone to my computer, I started watching back some of the footage that I took, some of the competition and the parade in town. And I was listening to the music because there is a band or a group called the Combla that plays traditional Catalan music. And when I first moved here, it was not a sound that I enjoyed because they have these high-pitched flutes, but it's a different sound and it takes some getting used to, at least it did for me. But as I was watching back the video and I was listening to the music, I was captivated. I was remembering the evening And I was remembering how Jean-Baptiste said, if this really speaks to you, then that would make me so proud. Now, he said this as somebody who is Catalan, and I actually didn't know that they were Catalan because one day, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I was actually studying Spanish so that I could communicate to people who live just 15 minutes from where I live, and anytime I go visit Spain, I couldn't communicate. And so I was taking Spanish classes. Anyway, I joked with Leonette. I said, oh yeah, somebody said I should learn Catalan instead of Spanish because if I do that, then I can really make inroads with the people in Céret. And she kind of poo-pooed it. She kind of waved her hand and said, no, Spanish is just, it's more practical. More people speak Spanish. And so when I heard her say that, I thought, oh, yeah, she's not Catalan, obviously, right? Because why wouldn't she want me to learn that language? She was just being practical, however. Anyway, so last night I learned that, oh no, they are in fact Catalan, and that they danced the Sardana themselves for over 25 years. So I really learned something about them, but then also, strengthened the connection that I had with them. You might be asking, well, why are you sharing all of this? I thought this was going to be a video that spoke to, can you move abroad as an introvert and build community? Or do you need to be somebody you're not? This story leads into what happened with me. When I first moved to France, I moved to Perpignan, a city, not a huge city, but much bigger than the town that I find myself in today. And I met a couple of people there, one person who is still a really good friend of mine, but I didn't make the connection or build a community like I have here in Céret. When I moved to Perpignan, I knew as an introvert, I was going to have to put myself out there. I was going to have to go to events and kind of force myself out of my apartment to do so. And I did. And I met people, but again, it wasn't necessarily people who I felt connected to. And sometimes it felt forced and it didn't feel good. So there is this fine line that I've had to find in order to make friends and build community. And that is knowing that being alone isn't the worst thing in the world, especially if I am going out to be around people I really don't have anything in common with or don't enjoy their company, right? So I got over that during the first year and a half, and then started doing things that I enjoyed doing. And one of those things was a very simple thing, was walking every morning. I walk every morning and I would pass neighbors and we'd speak. Bonjour, bonjour. And that was that. After weeks and weeks of seeing me, that conversation or that communication deepened, and I'd stop and I'd have a 5-minute conversation. Then it deepened further, and we're having a 20-minute conversation. They're inviting me in for an apéro. All of these things happened just because I was here and I was doing things that I enjoyed doing, that I was being seen and recognized as somebody who belonged here. And that was how I met Jean-Baptiste and Leonette on my morning walks. It was as simple as that. So I have joined groups here, and that has helped me to meet people as well. But I don't think it has to be that hard. I don't think you have to become somebody you're not. I think one of the things that helped me additionally was moving to a smaller town. And that might seem counterintuitive because, a smaller town, there are fewer people. But there are fewer people. So people get to know who is a fixture or who are fixtures of the community, and they start to loosen up. It takes time, once again, to kind of break in and break through, and you have to be open. And yes, you have to be open to going out and doing things as well. I think one of the things that was particularly interesting for me about last night and last night's events and my just wanting to go and get the video footage and then call it a night was because last week was a very taxing week for me in terms of my social calendar. I had 4 social events in just 1 week. And if you're an introvert, you understand how draining, being around people can be, just because as an introvert, we gain energy, or we regroup and recuperate our strength or our energy by being alone. And so if 4 out of 4 of 7 days, I am out there being around people, that I don't have that much time to recharge and start to feel more like myself. And so that was one of the things that was challenging last week. And one of the reasons I said to myself, well, I'm not going to stay the whole night. I think I'll leave early. And then it was recommended to me that I stay to see the finale. And I did. I stayed for the finale, and I'm so glad I did, because not only did I get to see a really neat show, but I got to experience the culture, a culture that I have seen over the course of my 7.5 years here in Céret, the Sardana. I've seen them dance in the squares in Centre-ville before, and that was nice. As I said in the beginning, the music didn't really speak to me, so it wasn't anything that I felt connected to. But over time, and especially after last night, I feel a really deep connection to this community and this culture that I hadn't felt before. So here's your answer. You can move abroad as an introvert and build true community, find true connection. And for me, connection is one of my highest core values. So I think that that's why I'm so satisfied living here. And the good news is I did not have to change who I am. And in fact, when I did try to change who I was, I did not find the quality of connections and friends that I have today. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, that you enjoyed some of the footage that I've shared with you about the Sardana and what I experienced last night and throughout the years here. If you are planning a move abroad, and if you're planning a move to France in particular, and you would really like to ask me some questions, pick my brain so that you feel a lot more comfortable or confident about the plans that you're putting in place, I'd love to talk to you. I offer a 30-minute information session where you can ask me anything about my move to France, what it's like to live here, my experiences, all of that. And I'm going to put a link to that in the description so that you can, if you're interested, schedule a time with me. And I so look forward to having that conversation with you. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.